sure all of the reporters out there, Greg, did you make it down there?
I was down there, yes.
So I'm sure Greg and many others were thrilled that they got their ass up at about 7 a.m. to head down to Gillette for this 8:30 press conference, the big news, the big announcement. And 90 seconds later, it was over. In and out, just like that. So before we get into the decision, Greg, just your thoughts overall over the last 48 hours or so and how this was handled. Was it weird to you?
Yeah, it was, Nick. And not just because I like my beauty sleep and need my beauty sleep. It's just odd to me, Nick. It was another in a series of missteps for Jerod Mayo since he's gotten this job. There was the whole phrase, what did he say about spending? Like, we're going to burn through some cash. We're going to burn some cash and, those type of things. And then, going on radio this week and then even doubling down, talking to the media 30 minutes later and saying, look, Drake outplayed Jacoby. Okay. And then waiting on the quarterback decision, they set out the media schedule and they're off. I think they're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as far as the players aren't there and everything. And so you knew you had 2 days this week. Now, Wednesday, Mayo talked extensively. It was supposed to be his one availability of the week, which he's required to do. He punted on the quarterback decision. He said he had made the quarterback decision, but he hadn't informed anybody yet. There was too much going on, with all the roster shuffling and things like that. I understand that. Look, there's no hard and fast rule that you can't talk 2 days in a row. He could. And look, I give him and Stacey James and Aaron Salkin and those guys credit for getting Jerod available to us on Thursday, but look, this is a big decision. This is all anybody's talking about. This is your football team. This is the third overall pick that we're dealing with, and for you to be up there for 90 seconds, not even, it's not a joke. It's just wrong.
Is the Patriots on Thursday announcing that Jacoby Brissett will be the starter for the season was the term that Jerod Mayo used, although, again, threw the reel back and kind of reeled that back in, saying, if he plays the way we want, in other words, at some point Drake Maye is going to play. I shouldn't have said what I said, but I did. Not surprised. Drake made a real good push here the final 2 weeks, basically from the Eagles preseason game through the Washington preseason game. But Brissett, as Mayo had talked to us a week ago, with the idea of you don't just grade it on this, even though Mayo had said he's been outplaying Brissett, it's the whole body of work. And if you go back to the spring and, of course, Brissett's experience in the Alex Van Pelt Cleveland system, where he had probably his best year as a pro playing for Deshaun Watson, this is where it was going to go. This was never a quarterback competition, as much as they kept trying to use that word. You can't have a quarterback competition when Drake Maye doesn't get any reps with the ones, and Drake Maye did not get any reps with the ones. And even as he was making his push, they might have dicked around a little bit here. He had 3 snaps with the first offensive line, and he handed the ball off 3 times, and they were going 60%, not 100. It just never was what Mayo wanted it or tried to claim it as. And maybe that's some people will read into that. Maybe that's Mayo saying, I want to push this. I think maybe should be the starter. And there are people, including Alex Van Pelt, who, as he termed, head coach offense, and maybe Elliott Wolf, who has past history with Van Pelt as well, said, hey, look, no, we're not risking the number 3 pick with our offensive line in tatters. Let's fix that first. That's what we signed Jacoby for, to be the $8 million placeholder and maybe, quite frankly, be a human pinata back there for a little while until we get that settled. And then, as we mentioned, maybe week 5 is the plan that makes the most sense to get Drake Maye in there.
Yeah, and a couple of different things. You mentioned that there. I wonder how much the Patriots looked at kind of the Zach Wilson situation with the Jets in terms of rough offensive line, new defensive head coach, younger GM or newer GM, and the offensive line being a mess, and the Jets kind of just started Zach right away and threw him out there. And again, we know Zach Wilson's very bad at football, but it did not help, obviously, the situation he was in as a rookie. He obviously got much better the last 2 years, and he failed, but at least as a rookie, we obviously saw that.
Instant reaction, guys?
I mean, not much of a surprise, even though Maye, as Mayo said, outplayed Jacoby this preseason. Like, their actions throughout the summer, Jacoby Brissett led off every training camp practice as a starter. He started all 3 preseason games. Like, everything they did indicated that Jacoby was going to be the guy, so it just kind of confirms what we already thought was going to happen.
And I still think what we saw from this summer was ultimately super promising from Drake Maye, right? I mean, it came in, the plan was Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback, Maye's going to learn and grow, and there was talks that he could redshirt the entire season. And so the fact that he even made it a talking point that this is a true competition and that the narrative changed from Jacoby's our starter to we don't have a starter yet tells you that he pushed buttons enough to show that, he may start sooner rather than later here. Now, it makes sense. Start the season with Jacoby until things change. They call him the starter for the season. You have to. You can't go into that meeting this morning and be like, hey, Jacoby's our starter through week 5, and then we're going to turn it over to Drake Maye, or even allude to the fact that it's going to turn over eventually. You start with Jacoby, and you go from here. So it's the right decision, and that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I think this makes a ton of sense, and it seems like this was the plan pretty much all along. They've been saying since Jacoby was signed, and even when Drake Maye was drafted, that Jacoby Brissett is our starter. Now, obviously, with all the talk of competition, I know people were thinking, well, Drake's not getting reps with the one, so where's the competition really? Maybe internally they were just saying this competition is to see, should Drake Maye even play this season? We did see reports that they were considering maybe redshirting him, which, as they said, Jacoby has won games in the system. He's proven himself. He does have the ability to win these games, hopefully, and to go out there and at least be competitive, even though the preseason obviously wasn't great for him. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and as Alex Van Pelt said, you want to make sure that Drake Maye has the answers to the problems that are going to arise. He doesn't know what he doesn't know yet, so maybe get at least a month of film for him to be able to study and know how defenses want to attack this offense, then maybe plug him in if Jacoby Brissett doesn't give you this quality of play that you want.
Yeah, just to echo what you guys said, I mean, I think this is the right move in the sense that, one, it gives the team time. And first of all, I'm not being paid to say that, despite what some people on Twitter will tell you. I come up with the bad takes just for love of the game. It gives the team time to figure things out on offense. Not that they're ever going to fully figure it out this season. They won't. They don't have the personnel to do that. But to figure out the best case scenario, and it gives Drake Maye some time to kind of see what an NFL game week is like behind the scenes and the nuts and bolts of that. And don't kid yourself. There is value in that.
Jacoby Brissett is the starter for a lot of reasons. Number one, in my mind, is that the Patriots are just not ready for Drake Maye. And it's not because Drake Maye is perfectly ready himself. I think what Alex Van Pelt has cited multiple times to us, to Yahoo Sports when he spoke with Jory Epstein on Sunday, quotes that I tweeted about, have cited in multiple columns now, saying, look, Jacoby's just much more equipped to start week 1 because he knows our whole offense and he knows all of the blitzes and simulated pressures and creepers and everything he's going to see and will have answers for it. And Drake doesn't. Because Drake's 21. And we can say that for all of one more day. His birthday's on Friday, but everyone is going to cling to that. And so we're just going to give him more time. But the second part is not only the Patriots not ready for this offensive line, Jacoby has been prepared as the starter all spring and summer. He took over 98% of the snaps in training camp. He started not just all of those team periods, but all 3 preseason games. And at the end of the last preseason game, Gerard Mayo goes, yeah, Drake's our second best quarterback. Well, there you have it. Now, you might ask yourselves, why didn't we get here sooner? That's a great question. And if you would ask that today at the press conference, first of all, you would have asked one of 2 questions that Gerard Mayo took before skedaddling of what was it might be the first time anyone's ever been described as an NFL head coach as skedaddling, but that's exactly what he did. He skedaddled after 2 questions for a press conference that was scheduled after the fact because he didn't want to announce it on Wednesday. Fine, whatever. And to be honest, I'm tired of writing about Gerard Mayo in the press conferences. I did this all spring. I mentioned the OJ column multiple times, spilling it on himself. He's still spilling OJ.